Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined as always by my co-host, Jacob Boyers. Cats find a new way to lose a basketball game, Jake, one that I'm not even sure how to talk about here. Cats lose to Texas A&M on the road in College Station, 96-85. A game in which they started off hot. They were up 30-18. And not a good thing happened from that moment on. Jake, I know you've got a lot of things that you want to say about this game. I'm just giving you the mic, man. Wherever you want to start, let's start it there.
Yeah, as frustrating of a game that we've watched in a long time. Even the frustrating in a little different of a way from like the Gonzaga game where like the team just didn't have effort. This was a game that I think both of us agree Kentucky was the better team.
Yeah.
You come out, you start out so well. You're playing with such good energy. And when you go up 12, there's just I told you right before we hopped on, this is the game I think by far is the biggest blemish on like Mark Pope's coaching career at Kentucky, because I think this is flat out just a game he found a way to lose. And it's crazy because like at one point we were down 20. So like to say like a couple coaching decisions cost you this game, but like I really do think that that's the case. It's another situation where you had a chance to push that to 15, 16, 20 points right there in the first half and essentially put that game away and take A&M completely out of it. And the second A&M got into a rhythm, you're playing 4 bench players at a time and you allow a 13-0 run to take your 12-point lead to down 1. I texted you during it, and before I was going to text you and just say, is Mark Pope allergic to calling a timeout? And before I could hit send, we turned the ball over and A&M makes the 3 to go up 1. And then I changed it to why does he constantly wait till our leads are gone? I mean, it was the same thing from, the Georgia game, just these long lapses of not calling timeouts, leaving your second unit essentially in there to try to escape off this run instead of calling a timeout, getting guys settled down, putting Oweh and Aberdeen back into the game, or Chandler, whoever. I think it was just a complete failure on the coaching staff in this one, and extremely, extremely frustrating.
And Jake, that's what buckyball is like set to do.
Okay, real quick, can I say one thing? If I have to hear the phrase buckyball one more time, I am going to scream. Jimmy Dykes said it no less than 150 times. That was going to be one of my complaints I was going to bring up later in the episode, but right from the rip, you bring it up. I have a new phrase that I hate more than anything in the entire world, and it's buckyball, because I listened to Jimmy Dykes say it 987 times. I'm sorry. But go ahead. I had to get it off my chest.
All right. How about this? The style in which Texas A&M's head coach likes to play is to force you into a lot of mistakes. And then once they do have that momentum running, it's just to keep pressing and keep going and, keep the foot on the gas and keep the foot on the throat of the team that they're playing. And it leads to games in which they can get blown out. Yep. It can, against good teams, like you'll see it probably against Florida and teams like that, that have higher echelon guard play, will just blow this team out. And it looked like that's something Kentucky was going to do when they started up 30-18. And then a couple turnovers start happening. You let momentum keep building and building and building. You let them get into the game. They start hitting threes. Jake, you know this as good as anybody. Like, confidence plays such a role in what these guys do.
Momentum's huge in college basketball.
And Colin Chandler's the biggest guy to talk about that. Depending on how he starts a game, he's either going for 20 points and hitting 5 threes, or he's not scoring just about the entire game. Unfortunately for us in this one, this was one where he just didn't score too much. Why are the timeouts sitting there for?
Yeah.
Like that, especially when you need to get substitutions in. It seems like something we always talk about is Mark is waiting until an under 16 timeout, an under 12. He's always waiting for those media timeouts. And yeah, if you're close, let's say it's 12:30 and you think one's coming up, sure, I'm fine with you waiting. But in a situation like this, you mentioned a 13-0 run, balloons to a 26-4 run,
27-3. That stat alone, is
27-3, and then after halftime, it's 36-6.
Yeah,
there's that many runs in a small period of a basketball game that puts you so far out of it, and there's not a timeout called. I think he ended up calling one at the end towards the end of the first half. Finally,
well, it was right when A&M took the lead, so you're up 12. And the big white guy from A&M hits a 3 to cut it to 2. And I was saying, I was screaming 2 possessions before that, call a timeout. Do not let them continue to build this momentum. Mm-hmm. Call a timeout. He doesn't. At the very least, once they hit that 3 to make it 30-28, you have to call it right then and there. And then instantly, we turn the ball over and he comes right back and hits another one. And then Pope finally calls it. But at that point, it's too late. It really is. Momentum plays such a part. I thought Ortega, especially early, looked really good in this game. He was getting to the rim at will, it felt like. And that's part of, the style A&M plays is because they're pressing, it leads to where, Ortega can get a step. If you got guys that can get the ball up the floor and, get it to them, if you have those guys on the floor. This was a game that Ortega and Aberdeen should have played 38 minutes apiece. Maybe you take them out at the end because you could have been up by 15 plus if you continued the way you started early. And, we mentioned it. The momentum is so important in college basketball. And you see it, one, with guys' confidence, but two, especially on the road. You have a chance to just another game where you have the chance to go put the game away, and Kentucky just can't do it. And every single time it feels like when we're talking about it, we're saying they didn't do it because once you got up to that 10-12 or 9, whatever it is when then you make that mass substitution. I don't know how many times we have to watch it play out. There cannot be an instance where Collin, Denzel, and Owe, 2 of the 3 are not on the floor at all times. You can argue, we've said it countless times, the 3 of them should probably be on the floor for 33 plus minutes together a game anyway.
Yeah. But and one thing I want to say to that real quick is I think we've gotten to the point where there might even be stretches where you can leave just Denzel out there to buy you a minute or two, or even just Owe for maybe a minute or two. They went through stretches where it was just Collin, and that's the one that I just don't
3-4 minutes.
I think that's the one that you can't get by with. Collin can't handle the ball, and especially in an environment like this, how they're pressing and how they're just getting after you and harassing you the entire half. All of this being said, and I fully agree with everything we've said in the first 8 minutes of this podcast, you get to a point where it's yes, are those substitution patterns something that you and I have been talking until we're blue in the face, going back to the start of last season with Amari Williams and guys like that? Also, you made 1 field goal in the last 8 minutes of the half.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what substitution patterns are going to help fix that. You scored 3 points in the last 8 minutes. At a certain point, yes, I'm all for coaches have to put their players in positions to succeed. And I fully believe Mark Pope has a hand in Kentucky losing this game. 3 points in 8 minutes, I can't point the finger at him for that, though. Now, for not calling a timeout and not stopping momentum to let the run get that big, yes, I can point the finger at him. But when we're talking about you go up 30-18 with 8 minutes left in the half, the only bucket you get from there out is a layup by Denzel Aberdeen, and then you get a free throw from Malachi Moreno with 18 seconds left.
Yep.
This offense just becomes, and it's at the blink of an eye, becomes so stagnant. You see him score 30 points in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the last 8 minutes, they score 3 points. Like, I don't understand how this offense can be that volatile. It's not like we were out there just hoisting threes in that first half, and that's why we were hitting them, and that's why, everything changed. I don't know. And, we've talked about how inconsistent this team is. The fact that it can happen minute to minute is the biggest distressing thing for me, because it's like you can go out there and beat a team like Arkansas. Jake, you've been talking about how your prediction later in this episode has you beating a good team. It's maddening. Yeah. It really is. And that's where I'm at with it.
And I think, I do still think part of that is on Pope, because if you look at it in these situations, when do those stretches really start to form, right? We see a lot of Jasper out there with Trent, BG, and Mo Diabate, right? Those four are not going to score and create enough shots, no matter who else they're playing with, or even three of those four being out there together, like we see all the time. And then I think you get to a point where then when that happens, you get some of those tendencies you don't like from Owe, because I think he's sitting there and he gets back in or whatever the case may be, and he's like, man, I just watched us not be able to score the basketball. I got to go try to make a shot. And then it's Owe pressing too much. And that's obviously something that has frustrated us, and especially you at times, of Owe feels like he's doing too much. But I think there's times where we kind of feed into that because we run these such poor lineups that can't go out there and score. And then we let it go on too long. We let momentum build too long. And next thing you know, you're down. And then at the other end, guys feel like they have to press and try to make plays when that's not their strength. We've seen how much better this team looks in the flow of the offense. That first, when you got to 30 points, the first, 12 minutes of the first half, how good were we cutting to the basket and getting those backdoor cuts to Owe? That went away until the second half. We started doing it again when we were down, 15 or 20 or whatever in the second half. But for that whole stretch, there was none of that. And, part of it is A&M playing that press and taking you out of rhythm, and they can get you out of rhythm quickly. But it was just our half court offense, the times we did get the ball up the court, it was it completely changed. Running it from the top of the post and getting those guards cutting was working extremely well there early. And it just felt like once we made the substitutions, we kind of went away from it. And then I think once, it was 31-30 and Owe was back in there, I think we saw him take a couple bad shots. And I think just in part, again, just because he was forcing it because he kind of felt like at that point he had to. And so that's kind of where I land with it.
Yeah. And I hate to defend, or not that I hate to defend, but I don't like defending the bench much. But this is one where I'm not going to blame it on Mo. I'm not going to blame this on, we'll get to it, outside of BG's double game that he had, I think this was probably one of his better games as a Kentucky Wildcat. Mohamed Diabate played incredible. Trent finally hit a shot. Yep. Jasper wasn't good, but he didn't kill you either. 13 minutes, only had one turnover, had 3 points, 2 assists. I can't blame this on the bench. I get our frustration with substitution patterns going back to just each and every game with Pope. This is, you really just have to point the finger at the 3 other starters besides Denzel and Ortega. Yeah. You only had 5 points from Yelovich, 5 points from Malachi, and 3 from Colin Chandler. At least, I guess, to Yelovich's defense, Jake, can you tell me what's the point of starting him at the second half? Genuinely, I don't understand. Just tell him he's not playing in the second half. You might as well just, let him sit in the locker room, let him start to, recover and get ice and rehab before the end of the game, before he has to hop on the flight. It just doesn't make any sense. But you're talking about, first off, Colin Chandler only shooting the ball 5 times is a problem. That's something you and I have talked about. He has to get more shots. And then Malachi, his back to the basket game has been phenomenal as of late. You had a size advantage. Texas A&M was a small team. Why at no point during that giant 36-6 run was there a presence put to be like, hey, we got a guy who's good back to the basket. We can't buy offense right now. Let's get it into him. The biggest thing I think what that is it affects with Ortega's numbers. And that's something that, you and I have kind of disagreed on. And he was okay in this game. I hesitate to say good because, 6 of 15, it's whatever. A lot of those points he got were at the end of the game, kind of in that garbage time, just scratching a comeback. I'm still back to the same point of with a guy who is your best player being a me player and it's about me. I've got to make sure I get my double digits in this game. I just don't know how good this team can be. Like, you can see if the whole team steps up around him, like in a game like Arkansas, he can look really good. And it makes him look really good. Until Ortega decides to care about the front of the jersey instead of the name on the back, I just don't think we're ever going to be a team that goes deep on a March run with him at the helm.
Yeah, I still push back on that. Like, I don't think he's as selfish as, he gets labeled at times. And again,
that South Carolina game, like if I can't convince you that he's a selfish player after that South Carolina game, I don't know what I would have to do. That South Carolina game, he at just the last 30 seconds, he committed a foul to try and get a steal to get his 10-point advantage. He hacked up a shot right before then, and then shot a half-court shot with a second left on the clock to try and get his 10 points.
Yeah.
It should not be. Let's also talk about, it should not be that important for him. Getting 10 points should not be that important. It generally makes no sense. How about the fact that your team just got to win on the road?
Yeah.
And you are a team leader. How about that be the most important thing instead of you getting double digits?
I get it.
It's games like this, I think, where it helps you lose games like that. Against South Carolina, it doesn't really matter because they're awful. But against teams that are on the bubble, think about the teams that we've played so far this year that were on the bubble. Georgia, Auburn, Texas A&M, Missouri. You've lost all of those games. I'm not saying Ortega is the reason you've lost all those games, but on teams where you have to play a style like that, you've lost each and every one.
Yeah, you want to just talk about bad stats and bad numbers. You've lost 2 straight to Georgia. You've now lost, 4 or 5 against A&M. And, I know this goes back to, obviously, just before Pope. You've lost, I think, 3 of your last 5 to South Carolina. You've lost, 3 or 4 of your last 5 against Vandy. Those are the teams that, you're supposed to kill.
Beat up on
Kentucky, yeah. Right? Those are, and obviously Vandy's better than they've been, and A&M before Bucky with Buzz was competitive, but still, those are staggering stats. Now on the flip side, you've owned Tennessee the last few years, but still, those are the teams that you kind of expect these wins, and I think it shows where Kentucky's at in a whole is that they're more of a middle of the pack SEC team the last 6 years now, really. So that's just a pretty staggering thing to kind of think about there. I still think I still think Ortega was one of your 2 best players on the floor. It was him and Denzel throughout the game. I don't think
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think you lost this one because of Ortega. This was just, I don't know, man. It was extremely frustrating, and I'm somebody that predicted a loss in this game, but I never expected you to lose by, or be down 20 in the second half and pretty much not really be competitive until the last few minutes where you try to make a push to get back in it, and there's obviously just not enough time left. But I especially didn't expect it once you're up 12 there in the first half. Mm-hmm. I text you because you said run them or something, and then it was literally 5 minutes later. I'm it went from running them to you're getting ran.
Yeah,
it was quick.
That's something that you and I've talked about, and that's why we've been so frustrated with those substitution patterns, is because he doesn't let you finish a game.
Yeah.
At no point, 12 points, it's great. Yeah. We finally got off to a good start. Awesome.
You got to keep it. You got to
run it up. That's why I text you.
Look at what Duke and Florida have done to teams this year. And I understand they're much better teams than us, but once they get you in a spot where they have a double-digit lead and you start to press a little bit to try to get back in it, they put their foot on your throat and blow you out. I mean, really, outside of Kentucky against Florida this year, every game Florida's gotten a double-digit lead. They have extended it to 15, then 20, and then game's over. Duke against NC State the other night did the exact same thing. They put their foot on your throat. They don't get up 10 and then John Shire's looking to figure out how to get Cam Boozer out of the game. He is leaving these guys in, and they are pedal to the metal until that thing is 30 points in the second half, and then he'll start to pull the dogs off. And that's just something that I think, for whatever Pope, we've talked about it numerous times. Once he gets that 10-point lead, whether it's late in the first half or whatever, he starts to just think, how can I get by 4 or 5 4 minutes here where I can have my guys on the bench and tread water. And I just think that's a really poor and disappointing kind of way to go about it.
I'd love to know what those the numbers that he's looking at say. That's the go-to model, because it doesn't seem to work anytime he does it. I mean, can you think, this genuine question, has there been any game this year that you could think of that we've brought all those reserves in to just hold firm with a 8 to 12 point lead, and they've just held firm, and then you got your guys back, and then you started to run
I said it, you got lucky in the Vandy game, right? You got lucky in the Vandy game that you did it. And again, if you do something 20 times through the course of the year and 19 times it doesn't work, and on the 20th, it does work, that doesn't mean that it's now this successful recipe, and it doesn't make sense to me. And even in this one, the first time he made the mass substitutions at 12 minutes or whatever, I text you and I was like, I hate this, whatever, and you were like, I agree, but you survived, now get them out. And I said, A&M missed a layup at the rim. Mm-hmm. We turned the ball over. They missed a wide open 3. And then I think they missed one other pretty relatively easy shot that they probably should have made. And it's just because you survived that, because they missed a couple shots, that doesn't mean it was the right philosophy. Yeah. And you got away with it, and then you came back and did it again, and you're not going to get away with it a second time. But I think if I would ask you who are the best coaches in college basketball right now, right? And back to the analytics part of Pope, and I am somebody that looks at analytics, and I think analytics are extremely important. I think John Shire looks at analytics and looks at them extremely well and has the right philosophy about it. But if I asked you right now, who are probably the best coaches in college basketball, you'd probably say Shire, Todd Golden, Dan Hurley, Rick, Kelvin Sampson. Yeah, there's a hand, right? You could probably pick and choose over your 4th and 5th and how you want to rank them and everything. But not one of those coaches make those mass substitutions, especially with an 8 to 10 point lead. So it's if you want to look at numbers and analytics, I can't imagine there's ones out there that tell you that this is the right thing. And when you look at every other high level coach in the NCAA, they're not doing this.
And that's what's so frustrating about it. And that's why I asked you, what are the numbers you think he's getting that?
I can't imagine what.
And it's different when you're going, say this is the 2015 Kentucky team. Sure, we can go full platoon.
Yeah, if you're benching Tyler Ulis, Devin Booker, and
Marcus Lee, Dakari Johnson,
and at one point before Poitras gets hurt, Trey Lyles, a bunch of NBA guys. Sure,
But that's what I'm saying. He's acting like this roster is full with that. And that's the part that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, those guys that you're talking about, Trent Noah doesn't touch the floor with any of those guys on the floor. Brandon Garrison doesn't touch the floor. Jasper doesn't touch the floor. And that's the part that's frustrating to me, is that I think he almost overvalues some of his own guys. And while you want to, like, as a coach, you want to be the guy who, like, holds your team to a higher standard and values them. And, there's multiple facets to being a coach. But it's also like you have to be able to scout your own team. Like you have to know, like, hey, at this instant, Jake, just thinking about it, and I'm not blaming Jasper for this game at all. Jasper struggled to get the ball up the court. Why would you want him as the sole guard out there?
Looking at on paper that Jasper can't play in, it's this one. Now, he played better than expectations. Like, I agree.
But then, even then, like, we forced Collin to do some of that role. And what's Collin's worst role is trying to be a playmaking point guard.
Yep.
And we've put a lot of guys into roles that just wasn't going to succeed. And to your point, and I love that you brought this up earlier, like, this is the game Ortega probably should have went for like 35.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming that on him. I said he
got off start.
I'd personally say Denzel was the best player on the team just because of the assist and how he's controlling the offense right now.
Yeah.
But outside of him, it was definitely Ortega. But the start that he had, the way that this game just sets up to his whole skill set, there's nobody really at the rim for A&M to challenge him when he's getting downhill. Transition guy on offense, like, everything matched up for Ortega to have 30 plus,
playing
and for this
fast.
to be a run out game when it got to 30-18. You take him off the floor, you take Denzel off the floor. Next thing you know, you're just at another thing's like, how can we just never stop the bleeding? Like, a 13-0 run is bad enough to lose the league. I think it's
because we don't call those timeouts. And you leave, like, it's clear, like, there's guys on the floor that shouldn't be on the floor in those situations. And again, it almost, like, it seems unfair to the bench players. And, like I said it last year, like, there's guys that you're putting in unfair positions for them. But a few points, because there's a couple things you said that I wanted to touch on. Like, one, I don't even necessarily know if it's Mark Pope over evaluates, like, his own players more so than he, like, overvaluates fatigue. Like, I don't care who our bench is. I think he's going to do something similar, whether it's Jasper or Travis Perry, or if one of those guys got hurt, he would probably go look for someone else down the bench and, like, continue to do it until he basically ran out of players that are eligible to play in the games. I don't understand how the guy that played for Rick Pitino and watches Rick Pitino by March go to a 7-man rotation. I don't understand how he overestimates fatigue so much. We've talked about it. These guys, while we don't really have any NBA players on this team, or, like, maybe Malachi, Jake Hughes not playing, obviously, maybe one day Cam Williams, but, like, these guys all expire to play in the NBA one day. If you want to play in the NBA one day, you're playing 48-minute games on back-to-back-to-back nights at times, and you're playing 3 games in 5 days.
Can we dive into him saying the Saturday to Tuesday turnaround has been tough for them?
Ridiculous.
That might be the dumbest comment I've ever heard.
What about the guys you came from BYU where you were playing on Monday, most nights. Like the Big 12 plays Saturday and Monday.
It's not like they went from, playing at Georgia on Saturday back to Lexington, then to College Station. You played at home on Saturday too. Like, there's always just, and I don't want to say excuses, but there's always just a thing for him to point to and be like, oh, we lost focus. This is a basketball game that is going to help your seed line, not only for the NCAA tournament, but also the SEC tournament. You want to talk about playing less games? How about you handle business against bubble teams, and then guess what? If you would have won against Texas A&M, you'd have already at least been guaranteed that you're not playing on Wednesday. Now you're looking at it. I think the 10 seed is, we have like a 30% chance of being the 10 seed, and that's like the highest odds we have of any of the seeds. How about, hey, I think Ortega would much rather play 4 more minutes in this game than go down to Nashville a day earlier and go play 35. And then try and, if you do win games, try and play 5 in a row to win an SEC championship.
Yep. It was a horrible excuse, not only because of that, but like, what other day would you rather play?
Like, this is what they've always done. Just because you got away with early in the season, you had some Saturday to Wednesday games.
But even then, that's a 1 day difference, right? Like, do you mean to tell me like your guys are going to be much better off of 1 day every week? Because like, again, Monday's obviously not better. If you go like the old way the SEC used to do, then you're playing Thursday and then you turn around and play Saturday. Like, I don't understand it. Like, even Wednesday, that's what? Wednesday, you play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're playing in 3 days. This is a 3-day turnaround. The week is 7 days long. If you're playing 2 games every single week, which every single team in the country does it, the best case is you get a 4-day off and then a 3-day off, like one way or another. So I don't understand, like, that comment made zero sense to me. I can hear, and they didn't even make this excuse, but I'll make it for them. I can understand Houston saying like, hey, us playing Saturday and then having to immediately fly to Lawrence and play Kansas on Monday is a tough turnaround.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and like Kevin Sampson didn't come out and make that excuse after they got blown out. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's mind-boggling. It was, I think, one of the worst excuses I've heard. I don't really know, man. Like, again, this is back to just one of the most frustrating games in general, game-wise, after the game, everything about this. It's really got me questioning, like, big picture, I think, a lot more than I ever really have, just because I don't think this is stuff that, even with elite talent, if you somehow come into this, like, these type of things are not gonna get fixed unless there's a massive, like, coaching philosophy kind of change. Like, let's say you go out and find a way to get Tyron Stokes for next year. Like, what does that do for you if you're worried about him being fatigued after, 30 minutes a night? Like, it's mind-boggling, honestly.
I mean, John Shire's playing a power forward in his freshman season, 32.9 minutes per game in Cam Boozer, and Otega Owe leads the team for us and is playing 31.4.
Yep.
Like, that just like, if fatigue is truly the issue, what are we doing during the off season? That's a whole nother. And I've had, like,
again, he supposedly does Patino's, Hell Week or whatever.
And I have no idea who the strength and conditioning staff is at the University of Kentucky for the basketball program. And I don't want to take, like, personal shots at anyone, but you look at some of the body types that we have and the progressions you would think they have made. Like, you look at Jasper, there has been no muscle build since that guy has stepped on campus. Braden Hawthorne has strictly been in, like, hey, it's an off year, literally just bulk up. I think he's added like 15 pounds since he's been on campus. And that's strictly been his job, to, like, bulk up. Otega Owe is supposed to be your guy. What in the world are we doing during the off season and with our training regimens that we cannot play guys over 31 minutes a game to where it's that big of a fatigue factor? Because if Cam Boozer can do it his first year at Duke, and he's a 6'9" power forward, I don't understand why a 6'3" guard in Otega Owe, who's in his senior season trying to get to the NBA, can't play more than 31 minutes a game.
Yeah, and you see people do it all around the country, and I'll go back to Duke, right? When they get a lead, it's not, oh my God, I have to find a way to get Cam a break. It's, we are going to destroy them, and Cam's going to play every minute until, the end of the first half here so that we can build as big of a lead as possible. I truly don't get it. And again, coming from a guy that came from Rick Pitino, where you're pressing essentially all game, the original version of, Buckyball was Rick and at Kentucky, and Pope being a part of that. And not only were you playing a lot of the game, you were running nonstop every second you were on the floor. And, we've heard all the stories. You're throwing up in the off season, running suicides and making sure you're ready. To then just for 2 years now, we have to listen to, these guys aren't as good. I mean, what game was it? Was it the Georgia game where he pretty much said it was Ortega dribbled off his leg because he was too tired? And
that was exactly what he said.
He also came out today and said, he needs to play Trent and Jasper more. That's what I'm saying. None of this veers confidence that this stuff's going to get fixed. And again, we've said it for 2 years now, going back to Amari. We've said it 100 times this season, but I'll say it again. A slightly less good version in the last 2 minutes of Denzel Aberdeen because he's a little tired is still better than your alternative.
Yeah.
And Denzel especially can't be off the floor. If you're telling me in the last 90 seconds of a game, Denzel might be slightly worse than he was when he started the game because he's more tired, guess what? The other team's tired too. Those guys are playing 40 minutes as well, or, close to it, right? They're getting fatigued by the end of the game. I don't get it, man. It doesn't add up. I don't know what a good answer is, because it doesn't feel like Pope's going to go away from this philosophy. We've talked about it. Even in the wins, there's still the signs. You got away with it in Vandy. You got away with it once in this game, and you went back to it, and you just couldn't overcome it a second time.
And I mean, let's go ahead and let's have that talk. When Pope came in here, we obviously knew that analytics were going to be a huge part, and he was going to look at different metrics that John Calipari wouldn't, or Cal would just scoff at. I also don't think we were sold like a bill of goods that was this guy's initiative. This guy isn't stubborn or hard-headed and set in his ways. This is a guy who's going to innovate, try and find new ways to win, try and be at the cutting edge of all these different things. This guy hasn't changed a thing since the day he stepped on campus. There's been no sort of, we're going to change the way we play basketball. The only thing that changed was this year you had more time to build your roster, and you didn't have your best offensive rated guard in Kobe Brea. You didn't have a elite passing big man in Amari Williams. And I mean, that's where we're at. I think I was more harsh on Pope last year than you were. I've tried to take a step back this year from that, because it's going to be, at the minimum, it's a 3-year job. That's especially just with the background that he has of winning a title here. The fans love him outside of just on the basketball court. But Jake, we got things like since 2008, our most efficient guards, offensive ratings wise, we have 2 of the top 12 on this team. And do you feel good about this team's offense?
No. And
Colin Chandler ranks at 7th on that, and Denzel Aberdeen ranks 12th. And those are guys that, they're above guys like Jody Meeks, Tyler Harrow, Jamal Murray. Colin Chandler's above Tyler Ulis, Devin Booker in his offensive rating this year.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
What is going on?
I don't know. I've told you for much of the year, I'm still in on Pope, and I still am for that 3rd year. I don't think there's any world you're going to fire him, especially now with the AD stuff going on, like,
we don't even need to get into all that.
Like, like just on paper, like you pretty much don't have an AD until you don't have
July.
a permanent AD until the end of June. So it's like that's not going to be something that an AD getting ready to retire is going to make a decision on, So,
I mean, he's got a new 4-year deal, Jake. He's making $950,000 a year, so he's not retired.
We can talk about that at the end, but
we don't need to. That can be an off-season topic. We got basketball to talk about.
But, yeah, man, between this and the Georgia game, it really has been the most like kind of eye-opening and like frustrating parts for me of like maybe he just doesn't have it, and maybe this is just kind of what it is. Like you're gonna beat some good teams, you're gonna beat your Tennessees, go win at Arkansas. I still think you're gonna win Saturday. Maybe you upset a team or two in the tournament, but like due to coaching decisions and philosophies for whatever reason, you also put yourself in a position where you can lose a lot of games to teams that you just have no business losing to. I mean, again,
it's the refusal to adapt for me.
You're up 9 at home against Georgia, and you don't find a way to put the game away. Like that alone is like the
North Carolina and Missouri games. You had leads in both of those second halves, and you let those slip away. And like we're just talking about leads you let slip away. How about the games in which you had to fight from being back down 15 or 20? And we haven't even gotten into the stats of the amount of games we've been down 15 plus, which is insane.
Staggering.
And like I want to say this because I'm still going to support Mark Pope throughout this entire journey. I mean, that's what we do as Kentucky fans.
Yeah.
We also we talked about it when he got hired. Like that's something we had to talk ourselves into. And talking myself into it with all the nostalgia and everything coming back, when it just comes to like what I'm seeing him currently doing with this roster, I don't know if I can be more out on him being an elite head coach. Yep. Do I think we can get to an Elite 8? Do I like with Pope at the helm? Sure, yeah. Do I think we might have maybe like one magical run in us, like the 2014 Cats team? Sure. I think he might be able to give you one of those.
Yep.
I don't think he's ever going to be a coach that consistently has you like, and part of what I'm getting so frustrated with hearing like Kentucky fans talking about is, oh, he made the Sweet 16 last year. When did that become like our standard? Like I'm so confused on when that became like, oh, Sweet 16, so we're good. We don't have to ask for any more. Like I know it had been a while since we had gotten there, but I mean we've started to move the goalpost year after year. And yes, each year there are different circumstances. This year, Jalen Lowe's out, Cam Williams is out, which Jake, you did practice today, so maybe you might be getting him back for some time. Jaden Quaintance is out. Yes, sure. There's injuries almost every season. Yep. You've kind of brought it up. Like Calipari got extremely lucky through some of his career that, injuries just didn't really happen for his teams. We can't keep moving the goalposts. And it feels like each year we come in and they get further and further and further back. And when you keep doing that, you just you start to fall into irrelevancy. And I feel like we're not there yet, but you see these crowds that we're drawing on the road. A&M was empty. South Carolina was empty. And granted, neither one of those are good basketball programs. But you're telling me Kentucky in 2015, Kentucky in 2017 shows up to those campuses, it's packed.
Yeah.
Even if the teams suck. We're just not a big draw, and that's kind of what's scaring me. It just seems like everything is trickling down.
Yeah. I mean, Sweet 16s are not the standard here at Kentucky. Now, I think I can still step back last year and Pope's first year and say that it was a mildly successful season. We've talked about it, whatever, but you got to build off of that. And there's not only been no building off of that. We continue to say it. You lucked out of Malachi Moreno being really good away from Brandon Garrison being your planned starting center. I mean, I think there's
you looked into Denzel being like, Denzel's been elite as of late.
Yeah, turning
8
into
assists to 1 turnover.
Point.
Like, you lucked into that. I don't think that was the plan for him to be leading this offense.
No. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Sorry, I had a point and kind of forgot it as you continued to ramble on for so long.
Dude, it's getting to the point where it's scaring me as a fan. Like, and of course, all of the AD talks of who's going to be the next one mixed in with JMI, that scares me on a whole new level.
Yep.
But we're just getting so far from like Kentucky basketball. It's each year. There's something else.
A stat I saw the other day, and I meant to share it with you. They posted all the teams that at any point had been ranked number 1 in the nation since 2020. It was a long list of teams. And I understand not all that's Pope, 4 of those years or whatever were the last head coach. But just the fact that Kentucky at no point in the last 6 seasons has been ranked number 1 in the country. We haven't been a 1 seed in the tournament. We were a 2 seed one time, and we lost in the first round of the tournament. Like, there's a lot, and we, talked about it earlier. You got these losing streaks to teams like Georgia, Vandy, A&M, and lost however many out of 5 to South Carolina. Like, there's all these things that are just not Kentucky basketball, and I think part of it that is slightly unfair to Mark Pope is how bad the last 5-ish years were with Calipari. So like now his 2-year stretch has turned into the worst stretch of Kentucky basketball in 7 years, which objectively speaking, it is probably the worst 7-year stretch of Kentucky basketball. And I understand he's only here for, going on 2 years of that now, but like there's gotta be, whether it's Pope or somebody else, like at some point this has to get back to greatness. And I think Pope could be a good coach and the kind of coach that at a slightly lower level, like they would kill for, right? Like a UC. If he went to UC and had this level of success, they would, they would love him. He would be there for the next 20 years and they would be talking about how he's the best coach since Huggins.
Well, just look at Wes Miller. He's about to keep his job after this little stretch they've gone on.
But like here at Kentucky, you can't just be good. Like good doesn't cut it. Tubby was well above good, and we were ready to run him
out of town.
And he had a national title under his belt to at least point at and say, like, I got us here. The last, 5 years of Cal were bad, and we were ready to run him out, and I think rightfully so. And that was with maybe the best, 10-year stretch prior to that we've ever seen at this school. It just, man, you gotta, there's a level of greatness that is required to be here. And Pope gets it. He understands that portion of it. But then there's still decisions and, excuses and stuff that are just disconnected. And again, it's not worth talking about whether he's going to be able to do that or not, because he's definitely going to be your coach for at least next year.
Yeah.
Now, maybe after a full year and we do something similar, a new AD might make a change. And I think it's probably more likely than if the last AD was going to be here for the next couple of years. So, but again, probably not worth actually talking about it. And I'm not saying I want to fire Pope. I think he's does probably deserve that 3rd year, but man, you better kill it next year. And
I think
if you're making me bet with all the signs on the wall, I think we're probably headed towards a very similar year that we've had to the past 2.
And unfortunately for Pope, like with Cal at least, and I'm not trying to compare the beginning of the Cal era and the beginning of the Pope era, the SEC, like the difference in the league is ridiculous. Like the first year of Pope's SEC run, it was the best the conference has ever been. Now, granted, I don't think the SEC is actually very good this year.
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of very mediocre teams.
Yeah,
outside of Florida
and Arkansas. I think Arkansas is still a little bit above.
Even then, I think Arkansas has proven to be pretty inconsistent. Same with Bama.
Would it surprise you if Arkansas went to the Elite Eight?
No, but that's because they have an elite guard, and you see.
That's what you need. Yeah. And
that's also what's frustrating about.
We haven't been able to get these.
Like our three best players are guards. Like you would like. Who knows? Maybe they go on a run. And
that's the thing, and this is where I was going to take it. Is that I'm saying all of this? I still wouldn't be surprised if this team is in the Sweet 16 and you're looking at the matchup that they have and you're like, I think they might have a chance to win this and go to the Elite Eight. Yeah. Or, you know what I mean? Like that would not be shocking to me at all.
It would to me just because of the inconsistency. Like we haven't watched this team play a good 3-game stretch all year. And it's like for them to go play 3 good ones in a row to get to the Elite Eight, I would be a little surprised.
What about Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Tennessee? I mean, Oklahoma sucks, so I get that, but that would be. I mean,
but I'm with you. We're not thinking about the quick turnaround from Thursday to Saturday that they're going to have to play in the tournament. I mean,
I don't want to go back to that.
It's either going to be Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. Like.
Those were some of the most outlandish comments. Like, I wish we would have been in there. That way we could have been like, hey, Mark, you do know that when you play on Wednesday or Thursday of the SEC tournament, if you win, you play the very next day. So maybe that day gap in between there is not that big.
I don't understand somebody so smart doesn't understand that a week is an odd 7 days. No matter what day you put it at, your best case is 3 days off, 4 days on. Or 3 days off, play, 4 days off. Like, that's your best case scenario. No matter how you slice it, no matter which days the games fall on.
Yep. That is how a week works. I can confirm that. Sources here at the Cats Talk podcast can confirm that.
I'm not a very smart person, but I understand that it's 7 days no matter what.
Okay, Jake. So we went from Monday, probably one of our most positive shows, talking about, maybe they're finding something. They put a full game together.
Yeah.
And what does this team do?
Roller coaster, baby.
Throws it right back in our face. But you're predicting another upswing on that roller coaster. Talk to me about why you feel good about Kentucky versus Florida on Saturday.
It's going to sound goofy because it is just back to like another one of those kind of.
We've been talking about it, man. Your gut. You mentioned the size of it. It's been right. It has been right.
I told you I had bad feelings about at Auburn and at A&M games. You probably should have won. Also
you're 3 for your last 3. I'm 0 for my last 3. I can't buy a win around here.
Like, also told you we were going to go win at Arkansas. Told you we were going to beat Vandy at home. Told you we'd beat Tennessee on the road.
All right, enough of your victory lap. I was giving you your credit there.
I mean, that was for Mama Johnston. She knows I like to toot my own horn. So
oh yeah,
toot. Nah, I think Florida is kind of potentially due for one of those games where they probably just don't shoot as well as we've seen them shoot over the last 4 weeks. They couldn't really shoot early in the year. Now they've gotten kind of hot. I think they'll cool off a little bit. I think Kentucky should play a very similar game plan to what they played in Gainesville. And again, if Lee and Boogie Flan just get crazy hot from behind the arc and they beat you, you shake their hand and move on. I think that was the right game plan for that game. It obviously didn't work, but I think that's your best recipe. And also,
if you remember, it was that Klavzar off the bench that did most of the damage from 3.
Lee early, right? Like he made 3 of his
went
first 4.
Yeah, he went 4 of 7. Klavzar went 5 of 11. The rest of the team shot a combined 1 for 11.
You were going under every screen, which most games I scream at, but I think with Florida's bigs, it's probably the right move. Make Lee beat you and get hot, and he did early in that game there, and then Kloxar kind of took over late. But I said it before, Vandy, there's something about like a big game on Saturday at Rupp where I still think like it
Senior day.
It still brings it. And I don't know, man. I got a good feeling. And with it being senior day, I think Denzel and Ortega play really well. And I think you get them. And I think it just would summarize this whole season perfect, right? Like, yeah.
And then you find a way to somehow get like the that last 4 seed, and then you lose on Friday.
Yep.
that would be the perfect sum of what this season.
And it'll probably be like LSU goes on a run in the SEC tournament, and you're like, we got LSU on Friday. They pulled 2 upsets. Like, now we get them tired, and then you come out and you play flat and you lose. So
I would not be surprised in the slightest. And this is going to be weird, especially after I think I went on a 2-minute rant critiquing Ortega. But it is a senior day. And you want to talk about transfers just in recent memory that have made the impact that Ortega has. I mean, he's right at the top of the list. Him, yep. Oscar Tshiebwe, Antonio Reeves, like those are the guys he's keeping company with. Just wanted to give him his flowers. And Jake, to think that Denzel Aberdeen, like I'm not saying he's holding like a torch to Amari, but he's close.
God, dude, if people went back and found our text messages.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It has been that I don't know how I like this guy so much. The way he's played as of late is really just I've bought in so much. I'm gonna miss him and Ortega, even though I feel like there's usually a 2 to 3 minute time slot for me to complain about what Ortega's done.
Yep. No. Yeah, they've done some great things this year, man, and it's a shame the season hasn't gone the way we'd hope because, again, like if you just found a way to beat Missouri and Georgia and either Auburn or A&M, right? Like think about how much different this season would look and think about what we would be saying about guys like Denzel Aberdeen. And I'll focus it mainly on him because he's the senior, but I brought up same kind of thing with Mo, just the kind of strides they've taken just in a single season of being here versus the players they were in November and December to now what we expect from them on every night in, night out kind of basis. It's pretty remarkable. And yeah, it's a shame you lost games that you flat out shouldn't have lost, and it takes away from the whole because Denzel especially, man, has just been so special of late and has really grown into a fantastic point guard, not just an okay point guard. Like I'm going to do it at some point. I'm going to go back and watch one of those kind of earlier season games just to really appreciate how much better of a playmaker he's gotten and how much more comfortable he looks with the ball in his hands. Like, I would love to go back and watch like the Michigan State game where he really had to do it for the first time with low out and just see the growth from, Michigan State to now. Cause it's night and day.
It really is. And, I just think, Jake, maybe we just can't have transfers be our best players on our team. It never works for the team in itself. Antonio Reeves, Oscar Tshiebwe. I mean, none of those teams did anything in March.
Not here. I mean, there's some other schools where it works.
It's working. It just, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to be working here. We got to have these guys homegrown. So, yeah. Tyron, please come in and
we need a dog.
We could use that mentality on this team. Just don't even get me started. Think you can reclassify real quick?
Get him here for the turn. Yeah. I'd take
him here. If we can find a way to figure it out, let's do it. Jake, you said Cats are going to win. What's the score prediction? And let's let Big Blue Nation get on and out here.
I'll go Kentucky 86, Florida 82. Cats, huge win. We're feeling good. To your point, probably come out and lay an egg in the SEC tournament, but we're feeling good going to Nashville.
I'm going to say this is a very, very tight game, and the score is going to be close to yours. I think this is going to be something where we get a stop on the defensive side of the ball, and a second chance point goes in at or near the buzzer from Thomas Howe or Condon or Chinaloo, one of their bigs, and we just lose 84-83. And it's one of like the worst ways you can think of to end the season, where you play a great game against Florida but just don't find a way to finish it off. I just depressed myself a little bit with that. So I really hope that one doesn't come true. But I have to have the fade principle coming on, Jake, because right now we're operating at two polar opposites. Like you're 3-0 of your last three. I'm 0 for 3 of my last three. I hope your hot trend keeps going and mine keeps sputtering down the path.
It is true. People say they can't figure out this team. I might have figured them out. Like you just
you bought it on the roller coaster early.
Whatever it feels like, just take the opposite.
Yeah. All right. Well, Big Blue Nation, that is going to be all here for the Cats Talk podcast. Cats will take on the Gators on Saturday, senior day, for guys like Otega Owe, Denzel Aberdeen, Walker Horn, Zach Tao, senior days for all those guys. So if you're there, please show up and show loud for those guys as they deserve it. We got to win, Jake. I don't want to be the 10 seed in the SEC tournament. It sounds gross. But either way, Cats Talk Podcast will have you covered. Follow us on YouTube, X, Instagram, Spotify. We're anywhere and everywhere. Follow us there, and we'll have the content for you guys. Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.